I found the Polaroid slipped under the trapdoor at midnight. The problem? I was suspended 80 feet above the forest in a glass-walled fire lookout. That trapdoor was the only way up. June 2023. I was 22 years old, working my first season at Balsam Mountain Lookout in Pisgah National Forest, North Carolina. I'd taken the job for the isolation, needed distance after a bad breakup in Asheville. Up here, just me and 360 degrees of wilderness. The tower was all glass, floor-to-ceiling windows, wrapping the observation deck. At night, with my lantern burning, I was lit up like an aquarium, while everything outside dissolved into black. Around 11, I heard metallic creaking from below, rhythmic, like a hinge, swinging in the wind. I rationalized it. Old towers make noise. Then the storm hit. Lightning turned the glass white. Thunder shook the bolts. I tried radioing dispatch, nothing but static. The metal frame was magnetized, acting like a Faraday cage. I was alone. That's when I saw it, a Polaroid, on the floor near the trapdoor. Still developing, the image was me, asleep in my cot. But the angle was wrong, taken from outside the south window, at a height where nothing could stand. In the glass reflection, barely visible in the flash, was a hand, dirt under the nails, pressed against the pane. Rain hammered the windows. I grabbed the fire axe and backed to the center of the room. Then I heard boots on the stairs. Heavy, wet, climbing, one step, pause, another. The wooden staircase outside was slick with rain. Whoever was climbing shouldn't have been able to keep their footing. The steps stopped beneath the trapdoor. I heard breathing, low, steady. Then a face rose into view outside the south window. Pressed against the glass, mud-smeared, eyes bloodshot, staring at me like I was a museum exhibit. It smiled. I spent the night in the corner, axe raised, spinning every time lightning illuminated a different window. Dawn came. The face was gone. Before I left, I noticed the ceiling panel was ajar. The crawl space above the rafters, barely 3 feet tall, was full. Empty cans, mylar blankets, jars of urine. And directly above my cot, drilled through the wood, was a peephole the width of a dime. I transferred the next day. The previous lookout had quit mid-season. His exit interview contained one line. Something lived in the ceiling. It watched me sleep. I still feel like I'm inside that glass box, sometimes, lit up, on display, and something's still watching, from the dark. File 2, surface from Monongahela. The fog hasn't lifted. The fog came down Tuesday, and by Wednesday I couldn't remember my own name. I'm 47 years old, backcountry ranger, Monongahela National Forest, West Virginia, Cranberry Glade sector. Been doing this since 2005. I prefer routine. It keeps the past quiet. The cabin is single-room timber, a quarter-mile off trail. I'd been there a week when the fog arrived. Not normal fog. Thick, white, stationary. It sat on the forest like held breath, swallowing sound and light. I couldn't see 10 feet past the porch. Radio dead. Satellite phone, no signal. I logged it and kept a routine. Then I noticed the firewood on the porch, stacked in a perfect split-cord pile, exactly the way my father made me do it when I was 8 years old, before I ran from that house and never looked back. I didn't remember chopping it. The previous ranger's last logbook entry was underlined twice. Don't answer the echoes, they only want to trade. That night I heard my voice, a child's voice, mine at 9 years old, coming from the edge of the porch. You left me behind, it said. I moved to the window. A figure stood at the porch edge, barely visible, small, shivering, wearing my winter parka, the one I'd lost in these woods 30 years ago. "Let me in," it whispered. "I'm called." I didn't answer. "You don't remember me, do you?" And I didn't. Whole chunks of childhood were blank. I couldn't remember my mother's face, the town I grew up in, my name. Before I changed it at 18, the figure placed something on the railing and stepped back into the fog. A whittling knife, hand-carved, the one my grandfather made me, the one I'd lost as a kid in these very woods. I'd never told anyone about that knife. I opened the door. Fog poured in like water. The figure was deeper in the trees now, calling my name. Not the name I use. The name I forgot. I stepped off the porch. The fog swallowed me whole. "Come find me," it said. "I've been waiting." I walked. Time folded. Then I saw it. Standing in the white. It turned around. It was me. Older. Wearing my uniform. Smiling with my exact mouth. "I'm home now," it said. "You can rest." The journal entry ends there. Different handwriting. Neat. Archaic. "The ranger left the cabin warm. I'll take good care of it. Thank you for coming back." They found the cabin empty. 3 days later. Fire still burning. My uniform folded on the chair. They never found me. File 3 comes from deep underground. The dark has teeth down there. I'm wedged in a ventilation shaft, 24 inches wide. My headlamp's dead, and something just grabbed my ankle from behind. I'm 31 years old, former cave diver, turned surface ranger, Daniel Boone National Forest, Kentucky. Took the job after my partner drowned 3 years back. Told myself I was done with tight spaces. They sent me into the old coal mine for quarterly inventory. Repurposed 19th century shaft, converted to emergency supply bunker in the 80s. Simple job, log equipment, radio when finished, but the temperature was wrong. These mines stay 54 degrees, year-round. I could see my breath. I radioed it in. The maintenance engineer said he'd check HVAC and call back at midnight. Instead, the radio filled with wet clicking sounds. Organic, like something with a throat trying to speak. Then, the tremor hit. Minor, but enough. The entrance tunnel collapsed. Thousands of tons of rock between me and surface. 3 hours of air, dying flashlight. No exit. The dust moved wrong, swirling against the ventilation draft, and the shadows weren't acting like shadows anymore. They pulled away from walls, stretch, reformed. I ran deeper, looking for the secondary shaft. I found the emergency supply cage, steel, padlocked from outside. Fresh scratches gouged the metal. Fingernails, frantic, clawed from inside, but the lock was intact. Another tremor. I had to move. The only option was the ventilation crawl space, barely body width, snaking toward an exterior grate. 1/2 mile away, I squeezed in, head first. Stone pressed my chest, back, skull. I pulled forward with my forearms, inching through blackness. Air, thin, metallic. Then I stuck. Shoulders wedged. Couldn't go forward. Couldn't reverse. Breath came shallow. That's when cold fingers wrapped around my ankle. Not pulling, just holding. I screamed, thrashed, felt my shoulder pop as I wrenched forward. Skin tore, bone, ground stone. But I moved. I saw light, grey dawn filtering through the rusted grate. I hit it with my shoulder. Once, twice. It gave. I pulled myself onto the mountainside, gasping, covered in blood and dust. They found me an hour later. Hypothermic, 17 pounds lighter. Medical ran standard panels. But there was a note, flagged for the physician. Foreign particulate and airway. Inconsistent with coal or limestone. Composition matches degraded human bone. Estimated age, 80 to 120 years. I coughed up, bone. They sealed the mine 2 weeks later. Structural instability. But sometimes, late at night, I still feel those fingers around my ankle. And I wonder what would have happened if I'd stopped pulling, if I'd let it drag me back into the dark. That closes the archive for tonight. Submit your files. Need more? Click the tape on your screen right now.